What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Command and Console. My name is Jason. Today we have another PS2 Project PS2 episode, and yeah, I got another stack of PS2 games. What can I say, guys? I have become absolutely enamored with collecting for this machine. Obviously, originally when I first started this channel, I had a set list of games that I was going to collect for. I called it the Project PS2 Curated Collection. I have kind of been led astray from that list, and I've just been starting to pick up anything that I really fancy playing. And some people might feel like, you know, oh, you've kind of just gone mad with it. And I think I've kind of lost my way. I need to kind of rein myself in a little bit. But this episode is going to show you what I've picked up lately for the collection. And yeah, I've got no footage at the moment, unfortunately, for this episode. Without further ado, let's get to the pickups. First game is a game that I alluded to talking about in the last PS2 episode, and that was a game called Run Like Hell. At that time, I didn't pick it up because I didn't feel like I remember it being very good. But then again, I thought to myself, I don't see this game very often, and it's a survival horror game. I do love my survival horror. Bad or not, I'm going to risk it for a biscuit and just check it out. Thankfully, it comes with manual as well, which is always nice. And it's got a really nice case. Like the case is like almost minty fresh. It's very nice. I don't remember it being very good, but it might surprise me on a much later replay nowadays. But I do remember it being almost like a Aliens-esque kind of survival horror. Like the actual aliens do look like xenomorphs on the back there. But anyway, that is Run Like Hell. Next up, I picked up one of my favourite racing games from the 6th generation and on PS2, and that is Need for Speed Underground. Yes, I absolutely adore this game. I remember it first came out, you know, the whole, I don't know what you called it, the tuner scene, I suppose. The tuner scene was in full force, really popular. Films like Fast and the Furious came out, it was a massive hit. And yeah, everybody was up for racing games that let you build the cars of their dreams. And this was one of those games that allowed you to make a car of your dreams. And yeah, I absolutely adore this game. I think it still holds up now. I think it plays really well. It's so much fun. Obviously, it's a bit more kind of focused into more of a linear kind of gameplay loop. In this one, obviously the sequel is more open. This one's more linear. I still think it works really well as a linear, race to race, racing experience. I think it's really fun. I don't think there's many developers that really can do arcade racing as good as the Need for Speed guys can. I think Burnout 3 is probably the exception with that. I think Burnout 3 is probably the best of all time when it concerns arcade races. But I think the Need for Speed Underground games are so close to being perfect to me. But that's Need for Speed Underground. These next two games come from a great deal from somebody on the Swap Shop group, Gentleman of Games. Go and check out his channel. He had two games up for sale on his vintage page, and I tried to throw in a bundle offer for him, but he did me a solid and did me a great deal on these, and I'm really happy about it. So he sold me Need for Speed Underground 2 and Sonic Gems Collection. Yes, I do want these kind of Sonic collections in my collection because I love Sonic the Hedgehog, and to have these compilations of the classic games is always fun to have on these older systems. But yeah, that's that Sonic Gems Collection. It's in great condition, comes with a manual, awesome. And I've just spoke about it, but I'll speak about it again. Need for Speed Underground 2, one of my favourite open world races of all time. One of the best 6th generation racing games ever made. It's up there with Burnout 3. It's up there with Juiced. It's up there with some of my favourites from that generation. Yeah, you got to love this one. But yeah, a big shout out to Gentleman of Games for doing such a great deal on these two games. I'm really happy to add these to my collection. Yeah, that's awesome. Sonic Gems Collection and Need for Speed Underground 2. Next up, we have a game set in London following quite similarly the GTA formula. Obviously, I'm talking about The Getaway. I remember playing this back in the day when I was younger, young teenager, and I was blown away by the gritty realism of the London landscape in this game, and how it was pretty much as real as possible of recreating London in a virtual space. I really found it really engrossing to drive around and do nasty gangster shit, basically. This game is very good. I'm not sure how it holds up now, but I remember absolutely loving this game. At a time, I think I preferred this over GTA 3 at a time in my life. I do remember this being one of my favourite kind of open world kind of sandbox games for the time. I've heard that it's got weird controls now. Going back to it does kind of controls weird. But I feel like it done a really good job of being quite minimal in its HUD and its way of doing things. Like, I think, in GTA, if you've got a mission, you'll have an arrow at the top of the screen showing you where to go. In this, you didn't really have any way of telling you where to go. The only thing that would indicate, keyword there, the only thing that would indicate where you should go is that your car would indicate in whatever direction you should turn to sort of like, roughly lead you to where you need to go. This game was really cool. I found this in a charity shop for 50p, so I can't complain. It's got the manual. I believe it's got the map as well. Yeah, it's got the map as well, and it's got the disc in pretty clean condition, to be fair. Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, 50p, I can't really complain. That's The Getaway. Next up is a underrated sequel, or reboot, I guess, to a N64 classic franchise for me. If you've played Turok Dinosaur Hunter, or Turok 2 or Turok 3, a lot of people don't like the next game in that series, Turok Evolution. I think this is fairly underrated for what it is. I really enjoyed this one. I think it's a underrated 6th generation first person shooter set in that Turok universe. I love the artwork on this as well. I've always just loved the artwork on this box. It's so simple, but just it says everything it needs to say. It's a dinosaur shooter. What else can you really say there? What else could you really want, really? Yeah, I think this game is so underrated. It gets a lot of shit. It may not be as good as the previous Turok games, of course. I think Turok 3 might be the best in the franchise, in my opinion. But I do feel like this is really underrated. Underrated. We've recently got remasters of all 3 N64 Turok games. I'm really hoping that they follow suit and give us a bit of a remaster for this, because I think this would really surprise people on a re-release by how good it is. It's fun, it's good. I enjoyed this one. Obviously it comes with the manual and the disc as well. Yep. Really enjoyed this one. I can't harp on it enough. I think it's wrongly kind of hated. I feel like it's decent. Obviously not as good as the original games, of course, but not a bad one at all. That is Turok Evolution. Next up is another game I found in the charity shop for 50p, adding to my 007 PS2 collection. I finally picked up 007 Nightfire. A lot of people would argue this is the best Bond game ever made. I think it's really good. I think the shooting's really fun. The Bond-esque espionage stuff is really well done. Is it my favourite though? I'm not sure. I really gravitate to Everything or Nothing as a third-person shooter action game, being really good. This one comes close to me though. I think it's really fun, and yeah, it's got some great moments in there. Some really cool driving sequences as well. That's Nightfire. The only game I don't have at the moment is From Russia with Love on PS2, so I will be looking out for that one as well to complete my James Bond PS2 collection. There are kind of other games on PS2 from James Bond. There's Quantum of Solace, but I feel like it might be a kind of shitty kind of downport from the 360 version. But that's 007 Nightfire. The final game in this video is a game I already have on 360, but when I saw it on PS2 and I saw it presented in this way, I thought, you know what, for £2 I'm just going to pick it up, and that is Tomb Raider Legend. You probably can see why I picked it up. Rarely do I see games with really cool slip covers like that, and this has got a nice cool kind of like spot gloss slip cover there on the logo. I just thought it looked cool. I don't see games with slip covers, so usually if it's a game that I know I'm going to like and it's got a slip, I'm probably going to pick it up for the collection. So yeah, basically for no reason but that, really. It's a bit of a silly reason, I suppose, but I couldn't leave it there when it looked cool. I'm interested to see how they made it run on PS2, because this originally came out on 360. Like I said, I've got the 360 version, but that is Tomb Raider Legend with a nice slipcover. That is it, guys. That is the end of the episode today. Let me know any and all your thoughts on these games in the comments down below, and as always, let's continue to build a PS2 collection.